This conference will now be recorded.
Trying to get my camera. There we go. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Rick Rubin here. I hope you're all doing well. This is our first town hall of the year, and even though it's I want to say Happy New Year, but it feels like we've already been in this year for quite a while. But I hope everyone's New Year's off to a good start. And sorry for throwing a curveball at all of you with a Tuesday town hall instead of a Wednesday, but it looks like we're getting some nice attendance, so that's great. A little bit about what's going on today. First of all, it looks like everybody knows the drill about, cameras off and stay muted unless you're speaking. So I appreciate that. Today we'll do the normal updates from, excuse me, from all of our chairs. And we have, I'm going to say potentially two speakers, but we have two speakers lined up. One is excuse me, class of 2022, Lisa Thaley Dugan from Jacksonville. And Lisa's going to speak a little bit about industry engagement. Our second speaker, class of 2019, is Allison Cantu, who works for NAFAC Southwest in San Diego. However, Allison got a short notice visitor, the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Environmental, who made a trip out to San Diego because they're interested in the delisting of some species. And so Allison has been pulled into a briefing. And so she's gonna send me a note and see if she can still get on the call toward the latter part of the call. So we'll cross our fingers that that happens because she was going to talk a little bit about camps, but also mostly about her her story in SAME and how she's started and got into leadership and just where it's taken her. So we'll have updates, as I said, from all of our chairs and vice chairs. And I think what I'll do is start off and turn it over to Rad. Oh, wait, before I do that, I just want to mention one other thing. We will not have another town hall before Jetsy because there's a fellows luncheon, which is at the tail end of March in connection with Capital Week. And then Jetsy literally is 4 or 5 weeks later. So we just didn't see crowding up your schedules and trying to squeeze something in between those two. So with that, why don't I turn it over to you, Rad, for your update?
Thanks, Rick. Just very briefly, and Anne will not be able to join us, so I'll talk a little bit about the our selection process. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We have, I think, about 40 people with us, and we appreciate your time. And it's an indication of that you're interested in seeing what's happening with the fellows. As far as the uh, selection process for the next class of the Academy of Fellows, that work has been completed. The names have been announced, and the few that were deferred have been notified. And we are in the process of conducting our after action report because every year we look to improve the process and just reaching out to anyone who has any thoughts. I mean, the after action is a fairly informal process that we reach out to the vice chairs and the RFPOCs. But if anybody else out there has comments or suggestions, please share them with Anne and with me. So having said that, I will go back to Rick and we'll continue. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think I won't even waste time jumping back on my video, but why don't I turn it over to Carrie Ann and she can update us about what's happening with communications and marketing.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Sometimes this GoToMeeting hates me. Great to see everybody. Happy New Year. We are issuing the first newsletter of the new year this week. So it will highlight all the events that Rick and Rad have mentioned already. coming up for the next few months for our fellows. This will also be the first newsletter that highlights our new class of fellows. So if you haven't already had an opportunity to connect with them, all their information will be provided in that newsletter. We also have some really interesting columns that are going to be included, similar that we've always had, but we've got really great content for you all this month. So look for that coming out later this week, and we look forward to seeing you all at Capitol Week. And with that, it'll go to Jeannie.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. I am excited to say that the Golden Eagle Award winners have been selected and have been notified. They will be honored at JETSI during the Society Ball. So for those of you that are able to join us, please be sure to register and sign up for the Society Ball on Thursday evening, May 4th, as we look forward to everyone's participation in celebrating this year's Golden Eagle Award winners, as well as the many other annual SAME Award winners that will be announced at that time. And speaking of award winners, the deadline to nominate for all of the awards that will be offered at JETSI or will be at JETSI is Wednesday, February 1st. So please think of, select someone that you feel is deserving and fill out the online award form. It's pretty easy to do, and we'd like to recognize some of our wonderful SAME members. Thank you. Going on, I'm not sure who's next. I don't believe that we have our Vice Chair for Internal Affairs here. So, Rad, who do I go to next?
Yeah, Jeannie, this is Rick. Patrice is not here today, and then Sean had a conflict as well. So why don't we turn it over to Philios?
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to be with you. Happy New Year. My focus is the mentoring. I'm championing the Academy of Fellows mentoring initiatives, and it's been a lot of fun over the past 3 years. The current things in front of us that we are championing, and I'm really excited to announce that the Maryland Post, being the Mid-Maryland, Baltimore, and Chesapeake, have decided to form their own leadership and mentoring program following the guidelines of our national LDP COI manual. So if starting on Thursday, we will have the inaugural meeting. On behalf of the fellows, the Academy of Fellows, I offer to help them with just some advisory support of scheduling and types of events to have and other things to make the program impactful for the candidates. So the fellows will be represented with a panel that I will be moderating on Thursday. 4 o'clock, we'll have this inaugural meeting, and we're going to have some overall discussions and presentation on leadership opportunities and the path to leadership as experienced by some of our best and brightest. So as far as who will be represented from the fellow side, in addition to myself, we have Tony Lakita and Rod Delaney, and then also Sally Clark is also going to be there as a leader within SME to kind of speak to the young professional evolution into a leader. So that's starting up. It's exciting. So if any of you are within posts that have similar ambitions to do this, feel free to reach out to myself or others within the Academy of Fellows, and we can actually help champion this and help as a community of fellows and mentors to help any post that wants to do this. Along the lines of mentoring, other activities that we continue to champion is student chapters. So we're in the works of a mentoring event with 2 student chapters in the Mid-Atlantic region, University of Maryland and George Mason University. So that's in the works. Currently this week, we have a panel that is reviewing LDP alternate applications for recommendations, and I see a couple of my teammates on the review are with us today, so I thank them again. And And the other thing, just to put a plug on the mentoring award, the Brown Award, Gerald C. Brown Award, along with all the other awards, we got to get some candidates from our community of fellows to apply. I'm sure we have some people worthy of consideration. So we got a couple of weeks to make this thing happen. Actually, not a couple. We actually got a week. What am I talking about? Yep, we got a week to make this thing happen. So if you know anybody who's a worthy nominee, just please submit their application. So thank you for your time, and anybody who needs anything on the mentoring side, feel free to reach out to me. Back to you, Rat, or
Thank you, Filios. Appreciate that. So right now we're gonna welcome our first guest, who actually is transitioning on to the Academy of Fellows Executive Committee for the next time around, and that's Lisa Thaley Dugan. And Lisa she'll talk more about it, but she had an interesting commitment statement that can be difficult to achieve, but she'll tell her story. So thank you, Lisa, for being with us.
Yeah, absolutely, Rick. And the spoiler alert is my mission statement. I didn't get to, but Rick asked me to speak anyway on some of the best practices and lessons learned that the Jacksonville Post had at our industry day. So I'm not sure. Can I move these slides myself? Oh, thank you. So first off, I am honored this year to serve as the Jacksonville Post president, but before I talk about any successes or what happened with this industry day, I really quickly wanted to give credit where credit is due. In the bottom right-hand corner, you see Brad Sheffield, Brad Azell, Summer Roseborough, and Charlene Wolderman. They are all four with the Jacksonville Post, and they were really the forces of nature that made this happen. As the Post president, I just got to work alongside them. So wanted to make sure that they were recognized for what they did for this event as I talk about its successes. Next slide, please. So our industry day was set up in 2 days. First day was December 6th. It was a golf tournament in the morning, followed by an icebreaker at a local brewery that evening. The formal industry day itself was the following day, the 7th. Our industry day had some table spaces and exhibit spaces. We had one-on-one networking, as well as a big ballroom with industry briefs. At our industry day, we heard from the Jacksonville District, Mobile District, Savannah District, NAFAC Southeast, as well as Cindy Lincecum joined us from the national team, and Mike Blunt gave led a conversation on the CPARS IGE and what that team is doing. Next slide. Some big accomplishments we had. This is the second year in a row our industry day has sold out, which I think shows the value that we're able to bring. This is our first or our largest number of local government folks who have come. Here in Jacksonville, we have NAFAC Southeast. 49 of those 51 folks were from NAFAC Southeast. The other couple came alongside Admiral Aguirre, who was our keynote speaker. And the Jacksonville District sent 12 folks out, which was a big increase from 1 the prior year. And then our net revenue for college scholarships and STEM activities was $65,000. So we're very proud of all of those accomplishments. And then perfect timing looking forward. So what are we looking at for best practices, lessons learned moving on? The first one is the venue. So I noted in the previous slide that we sold it out the last 2 years. So that begs the question, do we need something that can hold more folks? It also begs the other question, which leads into my Fellows mission statement, which was making industry days and some of the programming more accessible to members around the world via hybrid options. And we weren't able to make this industry day hybrid because of the fact that the venue just wasn't set up to do that effectively and cost efficiently. So that's another question that we are looking at. Through COVID, our post saw folks dial into our luncheons and our meetings from literally around the world. So with the Jacksonville District and NAFAC Southeast here, and really engaged in our post, we have a lot of value we can offer members who aren't necessarily here in Jacksonville. So that is one thing that we are looking forward for our 2023 industry day that will happen in December. 2 other things we're also looking at, we've moved our sponsorship program from just being an industry day sponsorship. we were able to raise the prices a little bit to get more funds in for that college, our college scholarships and STEM outreach. It's now an annual thing where our sponsors started our industry day and they get recognition year round at our luncheons, our events, all the things that we do. And then lastly, we're also looking at our industry day for enhanced volunteer recruitment. We've seen a lot of folks in the Jacksonville area raise their hand wanting to get involved. I think that has a lot to do with our amazing programs team and the value that the programs they have put on, as well as our membership chair who has really reached out to members and made it a welcoming place. So really looking at how we can take those hands that have raised and get them more engaged and involved where they are at the bandwidth level they have. So that was all that I had prepared. Rick, I'm not sure if there's questions or if there's anything else, or if I'm good to.
I think because Allison hasn't, she's going to shoot me a note if she can still jump on, but why don't we take a moment and see if anyone has any questions for you or comments about what you're doing that maybe you can elaborate on. I will say one thing that really stood out to me, and it's almost funny, but if people around the country in SAME probably don't generally have a golf tournament on January 6th.
The benefits of being in Florida.
Yeah, I know that, because even in San Diego, that would have been washed out, you know. So I'll open it up if anyone has any questions or comments.
If you can hear me, I have a curiosity question. Elizabeth Meyer from the Denver Metro Post. Out of curiosity on the not being able to do the hybrid option, how much of it was cost to how much of it was venue? What were they wanting to charge for that?
The quote that we got was in, I believe it was like 40,000. And granted, we said that if we are going to do hybrid, it will be done well. We're not going to just stick a phone or, one simple camera just on a tripod and hopefully folks can hear. We wanted to make sure that it was done well, which is partially what drove that cost up. But we know there are venues locally that are set up to do that at a much lower expense.
Yeah, I was curious what they were wanting to charge.
Yeah, we had to bring in outside vendors to do all of it. The location that we've used the last couple of years for our industry day just didn't have it in-house.
Lisa, this is Rad. Following up on that question, did you reach out to National for any options for a hybrid alternative from them, or strictly did you just do it with your venue and just do it locally with your vendors?
We didn't reach out to National. Hindsight's 2020. That is probably a reach we should have made, but we were already under contract with the venue. So we knew that wasn't changing. When we got the high quote, we just kind of we pressed forward.
Yeah, I'm not saying it would have been cheaper. It's just, another option, because that's one of the reasons we haven't gone hybrid on some of our national events, is because of the cost too, as well. Thank you.
I think we've got other questions out there. It looks like someone's raised their hand. Ed Mears, raise your hand.
Hey, Lisa, thanks. Yeah, Ed Mears here in Phoenix Post. We did a similar program in August. It's our typical annual program, and we keep on adding more to make it an all-day. And I appreciate you guys sharing your lessons learned. We did talk to National. We could use the GoToMeeting, I think, platform, but we already invested in Zoom. We did do a hybrid. It did run us like $2,600 to have. It was at a resort location that we typically host it near Luke Air Force Base, and they have a vendor who does all the AV, and so they've become familiar with this process, like other associations trying to set this up. Mm-hmm. We have a pretty good relationship with our PTAC, or now Apex Accelerators, or whatever they're called, and they sponsored that. They were able to dig in and get money to pay for it. Wow. Because it was outreach, right? And it also checked off some of their needs. They're part of our organization. We have them on committees to help plan events. We promote theirs. So maybe that's an idea, is to find another entity that can help sponsor. I mean, we got lucky because it was like a month out. They said, "Hey, we can sponsor this possibly." Is like, that'd be great. But it was only like under 3,000. It had pretty neat technology where the camera would focus in on the speaker. But there's still better features to make that. Just like you're saying, we don't want to just set up an iPhone and hope that MS Teams works for the day, but rather a good experience and also charge a price for it. However, we had like 110 people show up in person, but the total subscription or the online participation we had was only about 12, I think. And we thought it'd be a lot more. We broadcast it to other posts around, adjacent states, California, New Mexico, and Utah, but it just didn't get much traction, even though it was a federal focus, wasn't necessarily Phoenix centric. So yeah, we're learning it.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Ed. That's a great tidbit about partnering with the PTAC. I didn't even think about that piece. It looks like maybe Jim Carter also has his hand up.
Yes. Hi, Lisa. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm with the Orange County Post. I heard you mentioned the year-long corporate sponsorships. Could you talk through your thoughts on that and what costs you provided for those sponsors and what levels? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going off the top of my head, so this isn't going to be perfect. But I believe we had 4 levels. There was a platinum level, which at our industry day got the best coverage, and they were able to give a little short commercial to address the industry day attendees. Then we had like a gold level, a silver level, and then a bronze level that was just for small businesses. All of our sponsors had an exhibit table at the industry day. We had enough sponsors that we weren't able to sell tables because our sponsors covered those. So those ended up being a sponsor exclusive perk just because of numbers. Each sponsorship came with a certain number of attendees for the industry day as well as the golf tournament. And then logo placement, branding, all of that, all around the venue and leading up to it. And then throughout the year, we split our sponsors up where we have 3 to 4 at each monthly luncheon, where they have the opportunity to give a 1 to 2 minute just commercial on who they are and what their firm does. Come talk to us if you want a team or those kind of sentiments. And they're able to put out marketing flyers, giveaways, anything they want to do that month that they're up is one of the 3 sponsors or 4 sponsors. We did our best with those to do 1 platinum, 1 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze at each luncheon. The numbers didn't work out perfectly, but to the best of our ability, we kept it that way too. We had those sponsorship banners that you saw in the pictures that are at all of our luncheons, all of our events and things. They roll up real easy into 2 small little tubes. So we take them and give the sponsors credit everywhere that we have an event. And then with our newsletter, there is a sponsor section where if a firm has a promotion they want to promote or a contract win or a new service or anything they want to put out there within reason, we let them do that through our newsletter as part of sponsor news. And I think that covers the perks of it, but it runs, it started in December and it'll run through November. And then assuming we don't get a ton of negative feedback, we get positive feedback on it, we'll start it again at our industry day in December 2023, and then it'll run calendar year 2024.
Do you recall what you charge for the platinum level?
You're really testing my memory.
Sorry, I don't mean to. We could do this offline too.
Yeah, I don't, but I would be happy to pull that flyer and send it your way. That's got all the details and the prices.
That would be great. In the Orange County Post, we hold several large events and a couple of large events, and we have individual sponsors for each event and each luncheon, in fact. But I know that some corporations it's easier for them to cut one big check for the whole year, and there's obviously some benefits to the Post tracking all the individual sponsors at the different conferences and meetings. So there definitely advantages. I'm just curious if the net dollars of individual sponsorships over the year is comparable to what you're able to charge for that year-long sponsorship. Thank you. I'll put my email in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I think
Any other
Rick,
questions out there? Well, if not, Lisa, thank you very much. That was really great. Very interesting.
you're welcome.
So I'm gonna kind of uh, basically pull an audible here because Allison just sent me a note. There's no way she can get out of the briefing she's in, which I understand. So and we have some time still. I thought I would take a few minutes, and most the executive committee folks have heard me talk about this before, but I thought I would just share um, a program that's been going on in San Diego for probably about a dozen years, and it benefits veterans, and it's at San Diego State. They have a program, and it's called Troops to Engineers. And what they've done, they started a program, I'm going to say 12, 13 years ago, that was encouraging um, men and women who were leaving the military to go back to engineering school because most of these were just enlisted. And so, and then they offer them support. So what's happened is it's largely been funded by industry endowments. So a lot of big companies have helped them, companies like Northrop Grumman and Boeing and things like that, because they're seeking aerospace engineers. But also a lot of smaller companies have been involved, and I've personally been involved there for about really from the beginning. And initially, what most of the students are going to community college to get some of their undergrad, and then transferring to San Diego State, and they're being supported um, both by the university and by their peers. They have a veteran center they can kind of hang out on and share stories. The school has always helped them navigate their GI Bill and their benefits and how to maximize those things. And then in industry, they've called people like me and others to come in and do talks to them, panel discussions. I've done a number of workshops that were things like resume building, interview skills, but now what's happened is they actually have a sanctioned class. So for the first time this last semester, they had just a one unit engineering 101 class. And some of it's taught by people who are at the school. And then people like me, I was asked to come in and do two classes, which was really fun going in there. And it was, again, it was on resume building, and the second one was on interview skills, and I had them all do elevator speeches and things like that, and it was really a phenomenal group. And so the benefit of this is really bringing these folks in, helping them through engineering school, and then finding internships and placement for them. So over the years, I hired a number of these folks, and many of them now down the road are licensed professionals. But they got their break, and the program has. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I would say I think it has 100% placement record for those that graduate. So it's really interesting. As I said, they get a lot of networking, they get exposed to industry. What we're trying to do now is let them be the incubator and feed a restart of the student chapter for SAME out there. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on, and some of that effort is being led by a young man who just graduated from the LDP program last year. So he's got his enthusiasm up, and he's taken his lessons learned from that to out to industry and out to these students. And then also it opens up the scholarship opportunities because they're well informed. In the past, we actually brought the director on and as a member of SAME that would entice these young people to come to the monthly meetings. We'll give them a free lunch, come to the meeting, get exposed, and meet people. So it's been really fun. I don't know if there's any other programs like that in the country that are actually running on campus like that, but there'll be more on this, more published to see if those lessons learned and ideas can be shared with others. So I thought I would just share that with you. I find it to be a really fascinating program that's got a lot of energy. It's interesting when you teach this class, your students in there probably range from about 23 3 or 4 up to about 40. And so some of them at 40 years old are saying, hey, am I really going to be able to get a job? You know, getting out of the military and going back and getting my engineering degree. Um, and they're pushing through and trying to really better themselves. So with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions on that, or if you want to reach me offline, I could give you more info on that. But I think at this point, we can open it up to any general comments from all of you out there. If you just have anything you want to share or any questions for the committee or for Rad, have at it.
Rick Glenn has his hand up. Glenn Turney.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Hey, Rick, Glenn Turney, and I know that Steve Hauser already put this in the chat, but just want to encourage everybody. It was mentioned before that when somebody hit on Jetsy, Jetsy will be in our fair city this year in San Antonio, as will be the Small Business Conference. So we look forward to hosting and getting everybody there. Also, our Small Business Market Research Fair is there in March. We decided to flip-flop with the small business. That's the normal time we do that. So we're going to be busy in San Antonio, the San Antonio Post this year, but we encourage anybody to come on out and let me know if you have any questions. There's some good info purveyed, and obviously we'd like you to come out and spend some money in our city, help our tax base.
Great. You got a lot of good stuff going on there.
Absolutely.
You can see
Thanks,
Joe Angel here.
Pardon?
Joe Angel here.
Oh, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, real quick, put a plug out there for the camps. The camper application season is open, which means very shortly we're going to go put a full court press on getting staff, volunteers, mentors for our camps. So please, fellows community, help us by getting us campers. Again, rising 10, 11, 12th graders from anywhere in the country to any of our camps. Have your posts help sponsor them. And then always looking for some great adult supervision to come out and mentor these kids as they figure their way through the STEM universe. So thank you for your help. If you have any questions, let me know. Joe Angel here. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, I know Allison would have made that same pitch, so I'm glad you brought that up. Kathy, I guess you maybe just want to run through the calendar real quick.
Sure, I can. Before I do, I noticed Tim Byers was on. Tim, did you want to provide any updates on the foundation since we have some time? If he's paying attention.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Go ahead.
Tim, did you want to provide any updates on the foundation? What's going on with the foundation since we got a little time?
Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so we've a lot of great opportunities coming up, and the foundation will have at Capital Week. We'll also have a social the first night as well. So hopefully everybody can attend that, and we'll be talking a little bit more about the foundation and what we're trying to do is we really put together our the purpose that we have, but really trying to build up, looking for other that are outside, whether they're the Bechtels of the world or the Home Depots, right, to help support construction camps and things. So really developing a strategy. We just had a strategy meeting on Friday on how we're going to go after those larger donors that are outside, if you will, the SAME group that we continually talk to all the time in our sustaining members. We have supported this year LDP again, the camp construction camps, and then also part of the Indian Affairs program that they had there for the mentor program too. So continue to support about $180,000 worth of requirements that have been identified through the different requirements out of SAME. A lot of opportunities have come up in JETSI as well, I think, and so be on the lookout for that as we start to plan those activities. But we do appreciate everybody who donated their personal funds or their companies that donated this past year. It's kind of a record year for us. We're just trying to get the last of the pledges that were made as part of Mercedes 5K pledge, right, from the fellows and the young members and the posts that were had identified to make those pledges. So once we get all that buttoned up, we'll have the financials and we'll be able to update that here in the next month or so, and as well as our investments. And obviously, everybody knows on the investment side, for the money that we're putting in our accounts is a little rough on the in the stock exchange this year. You know, about 25% loss, but we weren't near that loss. I think we're about 15% right now. So we did have some impacts with the post who contributed, but they still making more money than when they first started with us for the most part. So we'll give some more details of that as we put together the final touches on finance and investment uh, uh, figures as we close out this month when we get the Q4 results in total. Other than that, unless I have questions, I'll stop there.
Great.
Great. Thanks.
Anything else, Kathy, that you wanted to go through?
No, I think everybody can pretty much read the slide. If there's any questions, please let me know. Just note there's no Golden Eagle dinner at Capitol Week this year. The Golden Eagle Awards will be presented at the Society Ball. I think we've mentioned that already. And hope to see you all at Capitol Week. I think there's a hand up.
Oh, yep. Let's see who we got.
Corey.
Corey Weaver. Corey.
Good afternoon. It's Corey Weaver, class of 23. So excited to be joining the Academy. But I'm also the Young Professional COI Chair, and just wanted to continue on the tradition of having the Academy of Fellows YP social or networking event at Jetsy. So we'll be working with, I think it's Sean. That's what I wanted to confirm, is that we'll be working with Sean Moore to for that event, and if that person was changing, who that person might be that we can be in contact with. Over.
I think you can work with Sean on that.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that's great. Yeah, keep that going. Okay, well, we're obviously 15-20 minutes ahead of our normal schedule today since we lost our one speaker. But if there's any last comments, we'd sure entertain them, and appreciate everybody getting on. I mean, this, despite changing the day, this is a great attendance when we get 55 or so people on. So it shows that we've got some energy in the Academy of Fellows. So that's great. So any last comments from anyone? Brad, any closing comment?
Well, just that my compliments on the Audible. It's tough to plan for when the Assistant Secretary of Defense shows up. So
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you, Tim Byers, for sharing, and Kathy, who continues to support us. And I think we had a very good attendance here. And if Sean were here, he would talk a little bit about our luncheon, but the planning for that is going ahead, and we hope to have a great luncheon at Cap Week. So if there are no more questions or comments, thank you very
No,
much, and thank you, Rick.
Brad's, yeah, since you raised the luncheon, just one quick comment. I know Sean and I spoke, and he is going to look for fellows that want to share their story a little bit about, like Lisa did on this call. But and so anyone who is going to make it there and is inclined to share some of the activities they're doing, please reach back to Sean on that, and he'll get you dialed in to do that.
He'll also be talking about camp mentors and getting some support from some of our camp mentors and some of our participants in the LDP programs as well. So that's what's in the wings for the luncheon, and that's what he has planned. So thank you.
Okay, great. We'll give you back some of your time today, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Participating. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you, Kathy.
Be good.